feedback from a hiring company of like why they didn't go through with somebody that they interviewed or something, or do they try to keep that to themselves?
So I've been in this business for quite some time. I've definitely heard a lot of feedbacks
Okay.
from like like SkillBridge wise or veteran wise. There are, folks who would be, initially are strong, but then, as time goes by, they don't turn out well. Maybe because, first of all, I think it's not a culture fit. I mean, the candidate has the qualities, but doesn't meet the level of what they actually need. That's number one. Not really culture, but technical skills. They're not there yet. They're on the road, on the way to being, on that level, but not just yet. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of these folks, especially on the IT side, they want a plug and play guy, a girl. They want someone who's got a very short learning curve. So, like the advice that I usually give for my folks, vets and SkillBridge, transitioning folks, like you have time, like at least devote a day, an hour, a couple hours a day to, improve yourself, better yourself at, whatever you want to be, whatever job you want to be in. If, you're a hospital corpsman in, in the military now, you want to go IT, devote maybe now 3 hours because you're doing hard pivot. Because a lot of these folks are trying to get that, trying to see the hands-on demonstrated experience with the candidates. Not only attitude is good. That's always probably half, like 50% of the hiring factor that goes along with it. But again, like it's still 50-50. The 50% is the technical skills that they'd be, wanting. Just because a lot of them folks don't have the time to, I know it's gonna sound like it's a stigma. It's so like a stereotype that yes, we want to hire vets, but we don't have the time to, train them. So I'd rather have you before you apply to jobs. I don't want you to waste time. Like for my folks out there who's applying to IT jobs who doesn't have enough background, I don't want you to go applying, wasting your time to applying 100, 200 jobs in a month where you could just spend that time first, improving yourself, get certifications, then you go apply. Because like in this business, like in the industry, like any kind of industry, efficiency is always the key. That should always be the key. You should work smart. I mean, working hard is good, but working smart is better.
Yeah, that's a great point. What you're saying is, I mean, you could apply to hundreds of companies, but if you just don't have that one thing, whether it be a certification or maybe just that drive or the actual passion for the job, maybe you
Right.
just want to get into cyber because you want to work remote, but you don't actually like cyber.
Yeah,
Like yeah, you
right.
might want to you might want to try to find something different. Maybe
Right.
recruiting, maybe that might be your way, but
Right. Because
yeah.
there will be folks out there that, hey, I think I want to go IT or cyber just because it's booming right now. But I have just spoken with the SkillBridge candidate, I think a couple of days ago. He wants to do IT and cyber, but in his heart, he wants to be an instructor. He wants to teach. Like, man, like the advice that I gave him, you go follow your heart.
Yeah.
Because this space that IT and cyber is very stressful and you need a tough heart, tough, mentality to be in this realm.
Mhm.
But I'd rather have you, go through stress, go through a lot of drama, go through trainings, go through a lot of stuff to something that you have your heart in.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like even with HR recruiting that we are in right now, there's a lot of burnouts that's been happening. I mean, it's good that
Mhm.
we're helping people, but there's a lot of frustrations that's been offers rescinded, candidates rejects the offer, and it breaks my heart. Like you're almost on the finish line, but at the end of the day, you reject the offer. But you know, as long as you love what you do, you're gonna stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, everyone sees that as like the goal. Like it's a dream to be able to work from home. But if you're not loving what you're doing, then it's just like or not even like if you don't even like it, like it's
Right.
whatever love. I mean, if you don't even like it at all, then you could be working at home and you'd be miserable at home. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and do you really want to be working a miserable job at home that now you don't have a break from it at all? You have to go to the park
Right.
to take a break. Yeah,
100%.
that's that's very interesting. Um, so kind of like going back to like you were saying when we were talking about what kind of turns companies off from a candidate. You mentioned like the culture and maybe just not the technical background. Do you think companies have some sort of responsibility at all when it comes to just like training or getting a candidate to fit in with their company? Because right there is the flip side where maybe you do have a guy, he really does want to get in there and work, but he gets thrown to the wolves right when he joins. So yeah, what responsibility do you think a company might have when it comes to hiring on a new person and especially a veteran?
100%. So number one, a company should have a really good mapped out training plan. Not that, all right, we'll give you train for a week, watch this videos, shadow a person, and that's it. Now you're on to your job. And then when the candidate fails, they blame the candidate. That shouldn't be it. Company should be always supportive. Like even if the guy's already doing good, you always got to have them backs. You always got to have that support system because I think that would always be a key, even if it's a not, it's a non-veteran candidate or a veteran candidate or transitioning folk. Someone who could be there to support them and be successful, have that, really laid out training materials, training plan for them. That's a key for every business. Just, I mean, if a candidate, a veteran candidate is fully equipped, man, like the community is already, the military has already, instilled them the discipline, the grit, that they, like these folks are go-getters. Like they do the job and finish the job if they know the job. But if they don't, what are they gonna do? So
Exactly.
that's the main responsibility of every hiring company starting with hire vet. Map out a really, you know, extensive but understandable training plan for every candidate.
Yeah. And I think going on top of that, if they don't have a training plan, right? Let's say this is a position that they're just now beginning, because a lot of companies are doing that. They're like, we really need to work on our cybersecurity front because you
Right.
have things like where they'll take customers' data and then they aren't securing it properly. So they have to they make the cybersecurity role within their company so they don't have to pay for an outside agency.
Right.
But when they're making this new position, they need to realize that this person that they hire on, they're not going to come in and just like get it rolling like right away.
Right.
They're going to have to develop the standards, the operating procedures, and maybe if let's say it's a skill bridge and they don't plan on staying with the company after the skill bridge for some reason, ask task them with setting up with setting up procedures that they can pass on to the next guy.
Right.
I think that really is the way
Right.
to get a new position started up in a company
100%.
without
It's
seeing all this drop off.
right, right. And it should be, you know, collaboration between,
Yep.
you know, current employees and newly hired employees. It should be a collaboration. It should be
Mhm.
not a man on an island, because when that stuff starts to happen, it just goes down. But if it's
Yeah.
a dynamic team that this candidate would be joining, man, look, even if it's a new position that this guy's joining in, and he or she knows that she's not alone in this new position, as long as she or he has that backup support from the current employees, executives, the guys who have hired him,
Mhm.
then it's gonna work out pretty well.